Hello, it has never been more important than it is right now to have a digital presence for your business. No matter what kind of business you have, you need some sort of web page. And the good news is that it's also never been easier to create that web page. Using Canva's all-new design feature, you can design and launch a website completely within Canva. This course will take you step by step through the entire process so that you can quickly and easily launch a single page website. I can't wait to show you how. Hello, in this video I wanted to talk a little bit about who is this best suited for, because I'm going to be really honest, a Canva website is not the perfect solution for everyone. It's going to depend on what you need in terms of functionality. So I think these could be a great option for people who are service providers. So that could be realtors, home stagers, copywriters, photographers, massage therapists, wedding planners, yoga teachers, social media influencers, all different kinds of freelancers, anyone who would be similar to these people. People who primarily sell a service and who don't need a super complicated web page. I will say as like an asterisk, if you need a really complicated long form landing page, I don't think that this is for you, but typically service providers don't need that much. It's more about testimonials, a few images, a way to contact you. So if that's what you're looking for, this could be a great low cost option. This is also a really good option if you were a marketplace seller of some sort. So this could be someone like an author who sells their books and wants a place to promote their author brand, but they sell them primarily through Amazon or through Barnes & Noble or wherever books are sold in your area. Someone who's something like an Etsy seller, they sell their actual products through an Etsy shop, so that handles all of their e-commerce, but Etsy doesn't allow you to do a whole lot of branding on your shop. Like it's not like a whole page. So maybe you have an Etsy shop, but you also want to have a little web page that talks more about your brand and what you do and why you make it or something like that, your story. So this could be a great option for someone like that. Anyone who sells primarily through an established platform. So that could be like an Amazon KDP, even in the Amazon Creative, they have the handmade section now. On a site like Creative Market, Creative Fabrica, anyone who does those kinds of sites and just wants a separate place to have a little bit of a brand and a little bit more about them where they can send customers, this could be a great option for you. And then course marketplace teachers, if you sell on something like Udemy, right? If you sell on this platform, you sell your courses here, all of your course hosting is already like done for you, right? You just want a simple page where you can promote your courses or something like that. Anything like that is great. I think that you could totally make a Canva website that would fulfill your needs. But who is this not for? This is obviously my opinion. I'm not saying that you couldn't make it work, but I don't personally recommend a Canva website if you're a blogger. They don't have blogging capabilities or functionality built in. I will show you later in the course how you can connect a blog for sort of a workaround, but definitely if blogging is your main gig, I would think you would want something a little bit more robust. Similarly, if you need some sort of advanced product capabilities, if you sell a lot of products, either digital or physical, and you need a lot of back-end support or, customization options and shipping and all that kind of stuff, then I think there are better ways to get there than using a Canva website. Not saying it can't be done, don't recommend it. Anyone who needed integrated course hosting, if you are someone who sells digital courses or digital products and you need to host them or you want to host them on the same site as your website, then, there are products that do that. Things like Kajabi or whatever, Go High Level, any of those kinds of softwares would keep everything in the same spot. So if you're needing that kind of more advanced functionality, you want to host your podcast, anything like that, then this is not for you. This is creating a fairly simple long scroll web page. So it's not an advanced long-form sales page, and it's not a multi-page website. It's fairly simple, but really for a lot of people, simple is all you need, and you don't need to overcomplicate. So I hope that gives you a little bit more insight on if this is a good fit for you. And basically, as long as you don't need tons and tons of advanced functionality, I think this could be a great option. Hello, in this video we're talking about just the very basics of branding, because before we can get into actually building out your site, there is some content that we need to have ready. So I just want to go over that kind of quickly to help anyone who isn't quite ready. We do need to have some sort of brand established. This doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to be, super sure about this. You don't need to spend money on a professional designer. But if you don't have any sort of brand established already, there are just a few decisions you're going to need to make before we can really dive in and start actively designing our website. So that's why I'm giving a little bit of branding information just to make sure that we're all really ready to start building out the website. So I would say that if you're going to build any sort of website, even a simple one-page website, you do need a few basics. This includes colors. You need to know which colors you would like to use on the website. Fonts. You can use, the ones that are in the free templates, but also if you're already using fonts on social media or somewhere else on the web, just, go research them, figure out what they are. And it is good to just have an idea of which fonts you want to use consistently throughout your brand. And that would be also true on your website. You're going to need images. Regardless of what you do or who you are or what your business is, you're going to need some sort of images for your website, because obviously websites are inherently visual. So we talk a little bit in this course about where to find those, just to make sure that you have everything you need ready. And then you'll need a tiny bit of copy. These are not super complicated websites, so you don't need a lot, but obviously you're going to need to know what your header is, what kind of sections you want to include in your website. It's a good idea if you can map that out before you start the visual design process. As much as I believe in the power of visual design, I do think that when it comes to websites, you do want to keep functionality top of mind. What do you want your visitors to the site to be doing? What do you want them to be thinking? What kind of message do you want to get across? So that's all going to happen in the copy. And, if you're not familiar, copy is just kind of the fancy word for the words or the text that are on the page. So before you can really dive into the actual building out, we need to have colors, fonts, images, and copy ready. There are templates in Canva, and we're definitely going to go over those, but I encourage you to customize them at least a little bit, because those templates are free to lots and lots of people, and you don't want your final website to look exactly the same as someone else's. And especially when it comes to images and copy, the images and copy need to reflect you and your exact business, not something super generic. So you are going to need to do some level of customization. If you're totally new to business or have no established brand, I did include just a few videos on kind of the very basics of getting your colors and fonts figured out, and a little bit of info too on where to find images. So hopefully that helps you get a running start. And once you get that kind of stuff pulled together, you'll be ready to really dive in to the actual designing of the web page. For most people, the beginning part of getting their branding identity going, if you don't already have a good idea of what you want, is to start with a mood board. And probably most of you know what those are, but if you don't, it's something like this first pin where you maybe have colors and inspiration, and Pinterest is a great place to do it. I would say it's the easiest place to do it, because you can just create a new board for your mood board on Pinterest, and save stuff. So something like this is a mood board, and see how it has colors, it has images. This is kind of a styled mood board, but it's the same idea. So what you want to do if you don't know kind of where to get started is just to start collecting images and putting them on a Pinterest board that you think are inspiring for your brand. So let's say you're a wedding photographer and you serve a more boho bride. You might search boho wedding. Really, like any of these suggestions could be good, or I'm actually just going to do boho bride here and see what we get. So obviously you are going to get some advertisements, but you can look through here and see if there's colors or patterns that really feel good to you. Like maybe you like the coloring of this image with the dark and light, or the greens here. And look who is advertising on these pages. That can give you some good ideas for what to search for. And you can also do, say, boho wedding. And maybe like this would be gorgeous on a mood board, and you like the coloring. And so you just start saving all of these images that are inspiration to a Pinterest board that you have on your own profile, and you can make it secret if you don't want other people looking at it. Like any of these images would be really pretty on a mood board. So you start to collect images that inspire you, and then when you have them, you look at them together and see which colors or what types of motifs really keep coming up. So even if I just said this screen right here is my mood board, see how like these kind of feathery elements are in here, they're in here, they're in here. Like there's a lot of creams, there's a lot of texture. So that right there could be a great starting off point for someone who had a boho brand. Now I know for some industries it's not quite as obvious. Like for weddings, it's probably pretty clear what you could put as a search term in Pinterest and get ideas. If you are something like a business coach or that kind of thing that maybe isn't as obviously visual, what you want to do is look for things that inspire your ideal client. So you want to think, if I was on the Pinterest account of my ideal client, what would she gravitate toward, or he? What would he or she pin? So think about what they look at and use that as inspiration. So if you have like maybe a more modern, bright color brand, that would be maybe kind of the opposite of these images. You could search for bold patterns and see what comes up. And so like maybe this color scheme, this blue and white, really appeals to you. Or this one, like that's super bold. It's like this one and this one would be cool on the same mood board, perhaps. So, you know, you can use lots of inspiration to come up with color patterns, colored pairs. See here, this is interesting. I actually know this lady. Fun fact, this lady took my wedding photos. That's so random. But she's a fashion blogger, and I like how the patterns in her skirt. So that might be inspiration of like another way that you see patterns. So you just kind of want to look around and start to collect images. And see this image of this bedroom, you probably don't have a business that's related to bedrooms, but maybe you really love the color patterns here. You love how this pink has this little red accent and the green. So you don't have to think about it super literally. You're just going for images that feel inspiring. And the main thing to think about is that it's not what you find inspiring. It's what your ideal client finds inspiring. So you may serve someone who is super similar to you, and then that makes it easy because what you're drawn to may be basically the same as what that person would be drawn to in an aesthetic way. But it's also very possible that you serve a client who has different tastes from you, And so you want to make sure that you're not pinning what you like, but rather you're pinning what your ideal client likes. So that is like the main thing that I see people do incorrectly, is either they go too crazy and they just spend hours on this, and that can be a place that gets people tripped up. Like, you don't need a ton of photos, like 10 to 15 is plenty for a mood board. So don't spend like weeks and weeks doing this unless you just really want to, but that's not going to be the best way to get your brand rolling. I would just set a time limit, like say I'm going to do this for 30 minutes, I'm going to do this for an hour, and then be done. Just take what you have and know that you can always add to it later, and don't get sucked into doing it for too much. And then also the other main pitfall is don't do what you like, but be sure that you're doing what your ideal client likes and what he or she would gravitate toward. Because remember, you're trying to build a brand that attracts your ideal client. So you always want to keep them in mind. So once you've kind of gone through this process, hopefully you've at least kind of narrowed down your colors in terms of like, I like bold, bright colors, or I like really soft neutrals, or kind of I like greens, or I like pinks, or whatever. So once you kind of have a vague idea of what you're doing, you want to move on to picking exact colors. I think that the best place, or one of the best places, is to go to Coolors or Colors, I don't know how you say that, .co. It's COOLORS.co. And this is a super cool tool, and it's totally free, and it's a color generator. So if you hit the space bar, it will automatically generate color palettes for you, which again, this can be kind of addictive. You could do this for a while, but and it's possible you might just come up with one and be like, oh, I actually really, really like that. That is great. You can take one that you like. Say you like this overall color palette, but you don't like just this last color. You like these other ones. What's cool is you can go in and lock the colors that you do like, and then hit the space bar, and it'll shift just that last color. Okay, so maybe you say you like that pink better, so you lock it, but now with the pink, maybe you aren't as sure about, I don't know, this blue. So then you can go in and do the same thing. So that's really a cool way to do it. You can also do, there's tons of things. You can see the shades. So if you liked that, but maybe you wanted one a little bit, and it shows you in black, this is the one it's showing you. So you're like, oh, I liked it, but I want a little lighter. So you can go one lighter. So that's really a cool option. And you can also upload a photo. So if you go to your mood board and you have a photo that you really like, you can take it and upload it. So wait, I think I grabbed the wrong photo. I totally did. That's my son's coloring page. So my bad. I don't know if any of you have a kid who likes Star Wars. Anyway, so you can upload a photo. And so if you said, oh, I really love this photo, or there's one from your mood board that really draws you in, you can take this cool tool and you just drag it to select the color that you like. So then you click on the next one and you can drag it over, and then you click on this next one and you can drag it to maybe this light kind of pink color. You can go over here and say, I don't know, you want like maybe a black. So that's a really cool tool too, if you have an image that you found on Pinterest that just feels really like a great jumping off point. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect in here. You can hit next, open in the generator. And so maybe this one wasn't quite right. You can lock in the other ones and keep working on it. Anyway, you can also add colors if you want a few more in your palette. And there's tons of things you can do. You can save it, and you can also export it. And that's really important if you want to use this in various ways, like on the web and also in Canva, or if you ever want to share it with a designer or someone who's working on your account, an ads person, anything like that. You can export the colors and it'll give you the exact color codes, and that's a really good way to save your colors and know that you're using it correctly. So that is a cool way to pick colors that's quick and easy and free. And also, I want to mention that sometimes it feels like a lot of pressure to pick the perfect colors, but as much as colors are nice, and I do think it's important to have a brand identity, like don't stress too much. Like look at McDonald's. They have done fine for themselves, and objectively, I would say those are not the most attractive brand colors, like yellow and red together, but they've taken over the world. So if you're feeling stressed, know that it's good, but it's not, there's not like a wrong answer, and you can always change. You may say like, this is my color palette, but you may end up like never really using this one color over here, and then so eventually you just decide to remove it because it just turned out to not be a favorite when you put it in designs, and like that's fine. No one is going to come and tell you it has to be a certain way. I will say, as a guideline to make your life easier, you want to have a good mix of light and dark colors. Like I actually think this color palette is a little too dark, because when you used it in designs, it just has a lot of really heavy colors. And if you're going to overlay text, you do want some that are going to be easier to read on. And so maybe you would go in and like choose a lighter shade for some of these or something. So you want at least 1 to 2 dark colors, and then I'd say some midtones and some lights, just to give you the maximum flexibility when you go to use these in your designs. So I'm not sure this really totally works as a color palette right here, but it's just an example. And it's a cool tool and a great way even just to try out new combinations. And sometimes if you aren't sure, you can just print out a couple options. You can save more than one palette. So, save 2, maybe print them both out, hold them up in the light, sleep on it, and then come back the next day and make your decision. So, it's fun. Don't make it too stressful. But this is a cool way to get your exact colors and to really see them next to each other. So then moving on, I would say besides colors, the other thing you really need to choose is a font. I think that, especially if you're not super into design yourself, like you don't consider yourself a designer, that's totally fine. I think Google Fonts is a great place for someone who doesn't want to make a lot of complicated decisions. I suggest Google Fonts because they are totally free and they are open source, open license. You can use them anywhere you would like without having to pay. I used to work at an art museum, and you would not believe how much we spent buying fonts and how many rules there are. There are beautiful fonts in the world that are paid, but if you are kind of trying to DIY and or save money, I really suggest that you use a free font and not stress out about buying licenses for paid fonts, because there's just plenty of good ones that are free and that are easy. The other good thing about Google Fonts is that all of these generally come loaded in the other programs you'll use. So like these should all be in Canva, they're in Squarespace, those kinds of things. So that definitely makes your life a lot easier if the other programs you're using have the same fonts available and already loaded in. Again, with kind of, if you look at this and you feel lost and you're like, I have no idea, these all look almost the same, what am I doing? I would say that a good place to start is on Pinterest, and you can Google some logos. Like, you could even just Google logos and see some options, but you could also go to Pinterest and look at the type of fonts that some of your clients' favorite stores use and get that as inspiration. So if you look at like advertisements for Anthropologie, if you're going back to the boho bride example, what kind of fonts does Anthropologie use? Like, are they really dark and bold like this? Or are they serifed? Are they sans serifs? If you don't really know what that means, don't worry about it. But there's just lots of different types, and that can help you narrow in. If you look at, see, this is an example. This is a serif. It has the little like lines on the ends of the letters. This is a sans serif. There's no little lines like at the top. I would say that the sans serif generally have a little bit of a sleeker look. A lot of times people will pair a sans serif with a serif, and that can be a good look. If you need help pairing fonts and you just really don't know where to start, and even looking at like advertisements or other brands and you're still like, I have no idea, that's totally fine. Try a place called Font Pair. And that is cool because it just gives you pairs that go well together. So this tells you that your heading font would be Laura and your body font would be Meriwether. And if you think it looks good here, then you're off and running. You don't have to stress about it. So they give you a lot of different options, and they tell you exactly the name, so then you can go find it in Google Fonts and or like in Canva or whatever. So that's nice, super user-friendly, and these are your options, like a sans serif with a serif. So that tells you kind of what you're getting, and then obviously up here, all the different ones. Display fonts are generally more like a titling type font. They're a little bolder typically. But this is a good way to just find something that you like and go with it. If you do want to go a little bit more into finding a pairing that you like, because you're going to need, I would recommend at least 2 or 3 fonts as your branded fonts. You can also try Font Joy. So say you're on Google Fonts here and you really like one font, but you don't know what to put with it. Fontjoy.com is a great option because you can put in different fonts and then lock it, and it'll find you other fonts that go well with it. You can also just pick this random generate tool at the top, and it will give you options. So like, and they vary a lot. See, I don't personally care for this Passero 1 font because I think it'd be hard to read in a lot of different contexts, but you can just keep clicking and maybe you like the next one better, or you keep clicking. And then you, like I said, can lock and then generate, and then the top one won't change, but the bottom 2 did. And you can work your way down. And if you don't want 3, that's totally fine. You can use just the titling font and the body font. So I know we covered a lot of ground super quickly, but I didn't want this to be too much of a deep dive, just kind of a quick overview that helps get you started if you open the templates and you're just not sure how to customize them. This will get you rolling. Remember, Pinterest, where you can grab inspiration, create mood boards, find coloring ideas that you feel like work well together. Go to coolers.co to pick out your actual brand colors and find your exact color codes. And then again, when you export it, it'll give you all the different ones, like the hex codes and everything for each color. And then Google Fonts is a great resource for figuring out what you want your branded fonts to be. Go to Font Pair if you want a combination that's already done for you, or play around with Font Joy to get a little bit more creative and dive a little deeper. I will also say, if you're like totally not loving the font thing, because I know it can be a little bit detailed, you can also just Google like feminine brand font combination or something like that, professional brand font combination, or free boho font or something like that, and then you'll see there's tons of design blogs and different things that'll have suggested pairings, like lists of try this font with this font. A lot of wedding design blogs have that kind of thing. So that's another source of inspiration if you want to get that into it. And, you know, obviously you don't have to, but I just wanted to mention that if it does appeal, just Googling for font pairings can be good. The main thing to check, though, if you do that, is that they're free fonts that are readily available, because I don't recommend buying a font unless you really, really love it and you know that it's going to be worth it to you, because they can get pretty expensive when you're buying licenses for both web and print and all the different places that you're going to want to use your font. So I definitely recommend you stick with the free ones and save money on that. I hope that was helpful, and I am always here. If you have any questions, just reach out. Thanks. Okay, now that you have some of your basics for your brand worked out and hopefully are enjoying the things that you've picked, feel good about it, it's time to actually get designing. We are in Canva. This is your home screen when you just log in. This works in the free version as well as the paid. And when you first log in, you're going to see a variety of different products and projects, and you'll see that websites is here. It's also currently here. You can also search for it if for some reason you log in and don't see it. You can do a search for that. But anyway, we're just going to click here on websites, and that's going to bring up a lot of different website templates. Now, they have some of them grouped like portfolio, event, retail, bio, service. They also have it where you can just sort of scroll through. Now, when you are looking for a template to use, I do recommend using a template, especially if this is your first time building a website in Canva, since it is a newer feature and it's a little bit easier to start from something here than just a completely blank screen. But you obviously can do a blank one if you would like. I wanted to mainly point out that so many people make the mistake of choosing based on the colors. They like, this one because it's minimal, or they like this one because it's green, or they like this image maybe. But that's not what you should be looking for. You need to be looking for functionality. If you find a website that has what you need, you always can change out, and you will be changing out the colors and the photos and all of that. Or maybe you like this, but you don't like the font. Well, don't let that worry you. You're going to change that. What you don't want to choose is a site that doesn't actually have the functionality that you need. It is a little bit hard. I wish that you could see the whole thing when you just hovered over it, which you can't. So you may have to click into some of them and just see if it has what you like. So let's just say we want a retail website. Once you click in, you'll be able to see all of the pages. It's almost easier to search from this view and see if you like it. You may have to just do a little bit of clicking around. Once you have one open, you can see all of the templates. You can also click on this little arrow icon and see other templates. It'll by default come up with retail website if that's the style that you clicked into originally. But the good thing about it is once you're in one, you can see if you hover over it, it'll show you kind of this little preview. So if I kind of hover over this, see it starts to slide, and then I can look around. That way I can get a feel for some of the other options without necessarily having to click into each one. If you like one better, you can click on it and then see it. And then if you think, oh, actually, you know, I think I like this better, you can actually just click apply all 5 pages and it'll switch this whole design. So now instead of that other one, we have this whole website fully loaded. And that can be an easier way. Obviously, if you changed your mind and you don't want a retail website, you just click out of this X, and this will give you all of the website templates. So you can click here and see. So I think some of these are, you know, like that looks like a portfolio website. If you click in, if you think, oh wait, maybe that's what I want, you can apply to all 7 pages, replace all pages, and you can cancel or say replace all pages. And then it loaded this one. And this is, yeah, kind of a portfolio about me type website. So that way you can see it. So same thing, you can kind of click around. It may take you trying a couple of them before you decide which one you like. You can always go back, make sure that you like it. And like I was saying, make sure you have the functionality, because the little details like you don't like the images or you don't like that the images overlap, that can all easily be fixed in the design phase. The next video shows you how to combine templates. So don't get frustrated if you think, oh, well, I'm looking for functionality, but I can't find the perfect thing. Watch the next video and I will show you how to do that. Okay, so let's say we are in this website template and we like it mostly. We've looked at some other options. We like these pages. We've scrolled down. It has kind of like the home page essentially. Then it has some product page, a page with products, a nice sort of focal page, a little bit of where we can put in some copy about promotional stuff, some nice testimonials. But maybe we're thinking, you know, one thing this is maybe missing is some sort of contact us page or, you know, email or anything about the actual shop, right? So maybe we want to add that. How do we do that? You can go down here and do add page. This will add a completely blank page. And obviously you could just start from here, change the background color to, you know, some of what these colors are. But if you think, ooh, that feels kind of overwhelming, I don't know where to start, it is possible to apply just one page from a different template. So how we would do that was we'd go back and we'd find a template that we like. Let's scroll down a little bit and see if we find one that we like. I don't know. Let's check this one. Okay, so it's a little hard to see, but yes, that's what I thought. I was like, I think that's a contact page. So if you click on just the one page rather than apply to all 8 pages, it will add this template into this page. So you can see that as opposed to earlier when it changed the whole site, this changed just the last page. So obviously this brand doesn't match quite yet, but that's an easy fix. We can go in and click on this and look up here. Oops, didn't mean to do that, so I will undo. But you click on it and you come up here and look that the Tankiwood, I don't know how to say that, is the font, and you can see the color here. So then you can easily click on this, change it from Bogart to this font. You know, you can make it bigger. You can make the color match the other ones. So you can go back and make this. If you like the help with getting the layout, you can make it match the other pages that you already had. So that is a good way to add, because maybe any one template doesn't have exactly what you want, and that's normal. And then you use these to change the layout in terms of order. And that way, if you go around, kind of click around and add some extra stuff, maybe we'll add one more page. We'll just kind of look around. Say, I don't know, we're just doing this for an example. But say we really needed a better get in touch page. Or maybe we just want to look at a couple in our template. Maybe we think, oh, you know, that could be better than this one. We can just delete this page and use this one instead. But when you add single pages from other templates, that can be a good way to get all of the functionality you want if you can't find a template that has exactly what you need already put together. Because obviously these are just examples. It also is if you want something longer. You know, I don't think any of the templates that I've seen so far are more than 7 pages. If you want something a little bit more robust or a little bit longer, then you can just combine template pages. And once you kind of have the functionality you need and you feel like it's a good flow from, you know, this type of content to this type of content to this type of content, and, you know, always feel free, it's your website. If you want to change the order even of what came as the template, then go ahead and do it. You can do a lot of that on the side. So find the flow you want in terms of creating the journey you want your customer or client to go on. You know, the landing page. You know, I think you may want some sort of introduction here, right? Like that would maybe be helpful. And then you go to a highlighted product, more product. Like I actually would move this up myself because it tells someone a little bit more about who you are and what is this web page. You can change all of the content here, you know, like add a little bit more text, add an image, do whatever you want. And then once you feel good about the flow, you can go back in and start really doing the customizing or the branding, making sure that all of the fonts match, the templates are all, you know, made to be working together. You've changed this one out to look more like this one. And, or, you know, too, if you are using this template for functionality, but you don't like the color, then it doesn't even matter that these don't match because you're going to be changing the colors and fonts completely anyway. So really get the functionality figured out and the flow first, and then go back and do design. Okay, so now we're going to say that we've gotten our template to where we want in terms of functionality. We have the basic pages put in, and it's time to start working on design. If you do not have a very established brand, or you just aren't feeling good about what you have so far, you want a little bit of inspiration, you can go over to this side where it's the black bar and click on Styles. Now, at the top, it will tell you what your brand kit is if you have one and like your own color palette, but it will also give you color palette options and font scents and combinations. So maybe you're not sure about your color. You can check out these pre-done color palettes. Click on See All to see more options. The cool thing is that you can actually cycle through these. So let's say we like this one, and you can see, oh, sorry, I'm going to do that again. Watch this right here. See how when I click on these little arrows, it changes, it cycles through. So let's say we like that pink as our header. If we apply to all pages, it'll actually apply that color style to our entire template, which is kind of nice because it's quick. It definitely speeds up editing. You can also, you know, say, oh, I don't know if I liked that. Try a different page, cycle through using these little arrows. The first time you click on a color palette, it'll go to like a default, and then if you cycle with the arrows, it'll change. And then it's changing just the one page, but if you want to apply to all, you can. And then it'll have applied it everywhere. That's just for color palettes. If you go click back, if you maybe needed more help with the fonts, you can click here. And it does the same thing except with fonts. So let's say we're on this page because you want a page obviously that has some fonts on it. If we're going to click, see, it changed all of these fonts, and then we can click again to see it. Okay, so let's say we like this one, then we can apply to all pages and see how this header page is also changed. If you want both, you need help with the color and the fonts, you can actually go to combinations and see the whole thing done for you. And it's not necessarily something that I recommend if you already have a brand that's established. But if you're starting from scratch and you're feeling kind of lost, this can be a good way to at least get some inspiration. Same kind of thing, if you click on it, it will apply everything. See how this is what we just had, this is what it's going to change to. Watch, this will change if we apply to all. Okay, see, this all changed. And then if you ever think, ooh, that was a bad idea, you can always undo. And then like I'll undo again, and we're back to this script font. So that is a cool way to quickly make changes and see what it would look like across the whole template. If something's close but not exactly what you want, you can always go through, use one of these, and then go back and just make, individual edits. Just because you changed it doesn't mean you have to stick with it. Like maybe you like this background color, but you don't like this color. Well, then, you can just go here and change what you want. You can pick photo colors. You can add basic colors. You can do whatever you want. You can also click here and do like drag and drop this to a custom color. This is for the letter. The number right here. And then say you like this, then you just click out and it's applied. And it'll add it as a document color. I'll show you that. Let's use this background because it's a little bit easier to see. But say I wanted something to match this photo, I could just click on this or click on this. And then if I wanted a custom color, I can go in here, I can pull this around. If I'm not even close to what I want, you drag this little dot. So maybe I want a blue, but not that exact blue. I get in the blue neighborhood. Then I use this to customize, and I think, oh, that looks pretty good, maybe with these swimsuits. And then once you've used it once, it's in your document colors. So you can go down and click here and easily change it. And you can even down here, if you want all of this color to be gone and you want all of it to be blue, you can change all. If you just want to do certain ones, then just individually select them. So hopefully that gives you an idea. If you are wanting some inspiration, check out the styles. There can be some cool stuff in here, and it can just get you kind of the ball rolling if you feel lost or stuck and you're not really sure how to customize. All right, so if you are going to have any kind of website, you're definitely going to need somewhere to get images. I wanted to just run through a couple stock photo options for you in case you don't know where to find images. I do encourage you as much as possible to use real photos that you've taken, photos of yourself, photos of your product, photos of your real office and stuff, because it's always nice to have that personalized touch. But obviously a lot of us use stock photos as well, mix them in. You can rely on stock photos completely if you're just getting started. But anyway, I wanted to show you some options in case you don't know where to find good photos. There are some in Canva, obviously. And if you have the free Canva, there's a more limited range. If you have the paid Canva version, then there's even more. So if it has the little star by it, crown, it's the paid, but there are ones in Canva. If you want something not in Canva for free, I really recommend Unsplash. It's this word, unsplash.com. And they have a lot. They have all kinds of people shots, nature shots, textures, backgrounds, all kinds of things. You can search for all different kinds of stuff, like say business and work. If you have different, whatever type of business you need. The textures and patterns can be cool for backgrounds on websites, like the way they've used it here, a cool pattern, and then you have your text and your buttons on top. So that's something to check out. I mean, they have all kinds. You can search up here, fashion. You can filter by colors. There's lots of stuff you can do. So definitely check this out. There's lots of options. Ooh, 3D renders. That's, I think, newer. Oh, see, that would be cool for a website as a background. There's all kinds of stuff. So anyway, be sure to check them out if you need stock. The nice thing about them is that they are free. You can create an account if you like stuff. And then once you have an account, it's totally free. You just log in. But you can download in the bottom corner, see if you hover over it. And if you have a totally free account, if you want one, then you can heart the things here or add them to a collection. So if you're kind of getting ready to design your website and you want to keep a bunch of options in one place, you could click here, create a little collection that says, whatever, biz website, and then have a bunch. That's also a cool way to look at them all together when you create your collection. You can see the whole collection on a page like this, all of them together. And then that kind of helps you see, oh, these really go well together, but, this one's too bright to go with this, say, if this was your collection. So it helps you kind of get a feel for what would work well on a website together. So that's one option. There's also Pexels. This one is also free, and it's similar. You can just kind of scroll through. You can search. They have lots of different options, lots of different styles. Not really so much for this project, but if you ever need video, I actually really think that's where Pexels stands out. So they have lots of different stuff. And you, again, I think can join, which creates collections. And they actually work with Canva. So you click here for Canva video. So that's pretty cool too. If you find stuff in here, then you can use it seamlessly in Canva. But anyway, lots of options, same deal. You would just type in, women at computer, say if you're a copywriter and you want some work photos, this could go on a website or, whatever. So you just find something that works for you, lots of different styles, oh, this one's super popular. You'll see this a lot if you start looking for it. If you're looking for a really high quality option in terms of paid stock, the good thing about paid is that it does tend to be a little bit rarer since it's not free, not as many people use them. If that is something that you're interested in, I really like Social Squares, something to check out if it fits you. If you find me across the internet, you'll notice that I use a lot of their stuff. I just think they are just so pretty. So if you're looking for more stock options, this is a good one. It's paid, but if it suits what you need, that can be a good option. Hootstock is another paid option. I thought I'd give 2 free, 2 paid, just to kind of show you some variety. This one has a lot of video, which is cool if you need it. Again, I think they do a lovely job. I don't personally use these too often, but I do think that they have some really pretty stuff. So, I'm just showing you that there are a lot of options in the world. So if you can't find what you need immediately, don't be discouraged. Tons of things out there. These are just 4 places to check. You can also just Google stock photos. There are definitely other places. Adobe sells stock. Lots of places sell stock. So something to think about, but you do need images from somewhere for your website. So I would say that it's good to compile a group of images that you want to have ready when you sit down to design, because that will make your design process a lot smoother and a lot faster. Okay, so I wanted to take you through the whole process of customizing a website, kind of start to finish, so that you can see that it's really pretty manageable, and kind of I'll walk you through my thought process. You can see it in action. So we're going to design a website. I'm going to go here. And this is going to give me templates. And see, I did want to mention these top ones will create a blank one. I want to work from a template because I think that's a little easier. And here we have lots of templates. I'm going to, let's say we're going to make a home staging website. So that's a business, more, I mean, it could be a portfolio, but it's more of a business. So let's go see all to see more templates. And home staging, for anyone who doesn't understand what home staging is, it's kind of like interior design, but for when you're selling your house. So it's kind of a designer essentially, but in real estate. So that looks kind of interesting. I can hover over and see, probably not enough images. It's a very image heavy. This looks like it's related to real estate, so that's cool, but I don't really need infographics for this one. So, you know, I kind of like that one. Lots of big images that I could switch out. So I'm going to try it. So I'm clicking in. It's a social media website, but see, I'm not going to worry about that because what I'm looking for is functionality. For home staging, I need big images, so that it has that. I need some sort of about me. That's good. I can use this. I probably won't use it for clients, but I could use it for explaining what I can do, so that's good. I do need services and a contact, so this could work. Let's try. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my uploads. I like to put in images first because I think that it helps me get an idea for colors and kind of gets me going for a visual thing. I'm going to start with, let's see. Oh, I kind of like that actually. And see, I already know I don't like these colors, but this is going to get me going. So this obviously needs to be replaced. It's horizontal. I probably want a horizontal image. I could try that one. And I'm just drag and drop. I don't love it. Like this linear, it's so linear with this. Probably could do better. Maybe this one. Not bad. I'm going to keep thinking. If you know you're going to design, I recommend that you like upload some images. I do also, I like that kind of outside. And if I double click, I'm going to drag, see if there's a better crop. Do I like that? But it's not as related to what I do since staging is more of an inside thing. That's kind of bold. I might like it. Let's say we're going to leave that for right now. We're going to use this stock photo. I'm using all stock photos because this isn't really me. This is just an example of a home stager. So we're going to use this as her about me. And you know, I think this is a little bit plain. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to hold shift. I'm on a Mac. And then that way I can select 3 things at a time. I'm going to move these over for right now because you know what? I really think this needs another image. So I'm going to copy this and paste it down here because then I know that it matches like the overall look of the template. Probably going to have to move this over a little bit, but that's no big deal. You can use the arrow on your keyboard or click and use this to move it over. So we've already used this one. I'm going to use this different image of this same lady. Obviously, if it was your website, you'd be using pictures of yourself. Okay, I like that. I like how it echoes. I like the movement of it's on this side and then it's on this side. So you see how we kind of get started. We're putting in some images. I'm going to come back to this copy. You know, I probably need a testimonials page. Instead, maybe I will make this services. So I'm going to type it. And I will say like staging for sale. Maybe I use like rental staging. I'm just making up examples. I don't know, a third type of staging that could be like short term or maybe like photo staging. if you're just taking like Airbnb kind of photos or something, we'll say. So like I said, this is just an example. And we're going to go over here. I have more photos ready. So maybe that one. And let's see. What do I like? Maybe a sofa. I don't know if I love it. But anyway, you get the idea of, oh, that's probably nice. A kitchen. Everybody likes a nice kitchen. Maybe this one. Okay. So now we're going to put in our services, we put in our images. Maybe I do need to add a testimonial page because I feel like most service providers need a testimonial. So I'm going to add a page in here, and then I'm going to go back to templates and gonna find one that has a testimonial. So I'm gonna look for a portfolio page, which is usually one of these kind of ones where you have your faces, a face of a person. So that has background, fun facts, not so much me. Let's see, I think this one we looked at earlier, did not have, oh yes it does. That last page, oops. I think that last page, is that testimonials? Oh, not exactly. Those are like job referrals, not testimonials. See, and sometimes you kind of just have to poke around, which is why I thought I would show you. Oh, here, what clients say. That's good. That's what we need. Oh, I actually kind of like this whole thing. Add as new page. Okay, and see here, I just want to compare it. These testimonials, kind of clear, not completely, you know, and I decided I don't really want that one. Let me go back. Is that the best one? Let's see, does she have testimonials? Some of these are kind of edgy. Not exactly what I'm looking for. Oh, this is an interesting one. See, and this is a like design one. That's kind of cool. And see, ooh, maybe let's add a page. Ooh, that was duplicate. Hit the wrong thing. This little plus is duplicate. This one down here is add. So we'll go ahead and get rid of this. And see, it's fine. If you make a little mistake, you just go back and change it. Let's see what this work with me page is. Do I like that better? I certainly like the color. I do like the colors better. You know, I really kind of like this font. So see how you can get inspired. I might use this font for all of it. But I have these oval shapes through here. So I'm going to copy this and delete out this square element because it doesn't really work with the rest of the page. But I'm going to copy. That kind of looks nice. So I like that better than what I had here. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this page. And we're going to work from here. Still looking for some sort of testimonial page. But beauty, that might have one. That's products. That's reviews. Let's see if this one has one. Featured work. See, featured work could be good for a stage or two. Very square. And see, you kind of get ideas as you keep going. Oops. Oh, these are single page. Some of them are single page. That is worth noting. Awards and achievements. The other thing too is that it doesn't have to be exactly testimonials. You know what? You know what we're going to do? I can't find exactly what I want, which happens sometimes. So I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm going to move it down. And I'm going to change it to testimonials. And I'm going to select these. Move them up a little bit. And back can be where we have people's names. And then, let's see, I'm going to copy, make another row. And then, let's see, so if we knew we want testimonials, we'll say that these are from some of these people. So she is giving a testimonial, she is giving a testimonial, and let's see, we'll say she's giving a testimonial. These are kind of odd photos for testimonials, but that one doesn't really work very well. But these are just stock images. These aren't real people. If you want a testimonial, I do recommend having a person because it makes it feel more believable. Oh yeah, let's say she's giving a testimonial. Anyway, so we're going to put the person's name in here. I don't know, Sherry. And this person can be Meg. And this person can be Emily. And then let's say we're going to use this testimonial text. So here's where, you know, it would be like, this is the best thing I've ever done. I'm going to move that up a little bit. You know what? I'm going to make the name a little bit bigger. 21. So we're going to match that. Up 21. Up 21. I'm going to make this in alignment. And you know what? I kind of want to go to elements. I'm going to put a star. I'm going to search for a star. Let's say I want to add some stars. Make it clear that it's a testimonial. I'm going to make that even a little bit smaller. So I'm going to copy that and paste it. One. See those like pink lines? Help you line it up. 2 and 3, 4, 5. That's all crazy looking. But what you can do is copy all of them, position, tidy up. It spaces them evenly. Let's say they're still maybe a little bit too big, but I want to make them, I don't know, make them white. So see, you can add that. It's maybe a little big, but whatever. But say you want to add these under each one to show that you're a 5-star stager. I'm just giving you examples of how, yes, you work from a template, but you're still editing, right? And maybe you end up needing to make these images smaller. So you can just resize. That pink line helps you make sure they're in line. And then you'll need to, oops, yeah, move them to the center of the page. You can, again, oh wait, that's not what I wanted. Just make sure that they are kind of lined up with your text. And then there you go. Then you'd have more space for this. You can move this up a little bit. So these are just examples of ways that you can take a template, but you need to make it work for your business, right? There's not going to be the exact things you need, potentially. And I just want to show you that even if you're working from a template, there will need to be some customization, but it doesn't have to be hard. So now that I kind of have, let's say this is like, I decided I don't want this. I'm going to do the text later because I do have services, but I want to add more detail. Or like maybe this is going to be my packages. Oh, maybe that's what this should be, packages. These are like my types of packages that you can buy. These are my services I offer, testimonials, work with me. Okay, so remember I said I liked this one, Hatton. So you can see that's what it is. That's a weird size. Let's just make it 40. I hate when it's like a weird size. We'll just make it 40. Okay, and then I don't hate that color, but I don't love it. We'll probably change the color. But let's say that's Hatton, and we're gonna check that's Garbata. And that's their logo, so that's a little bit different. We would switch that out with our own logo. So this is the title, it's Hatton. We can change this. See how this is together? You want to go, if you click on one thing and this other thing is also highlighted, you want to go and ungroup it, because that'll help you change. So it's Hatton. We're going to maybe make that a little smaller. 48. Oop, the spacing is weird. So we're going to go line spacing. And then we'll have to move this over, but we're not looking for a social media wizard anyway. Let's say home staging that wows. Whoops, wows. Okay, so we're just showing you how to do it. And then I like that font better myself. So we're gonna see how this all got highlighted. We're going to ungroup, that way we can change everything. And we're going to go to Hatton. And look, if I know I want to change all of this one to this font, I'm going to just click change all. Oh, see, so now that's changed, and maybe we want to work on this coloring next. Like, what do we want? I don't hate this color, but I'm actually going to use my own brand colors because that'll be easier. So again, I'm going to go to change all. I'm going to change this as well. Do I want a little pink? We'll try that. We'll start with that. Change all. Ooh, really don't like this color. Yes. So we're going to change that. You know, I'm just going to go to black. Let's keep it classic. Start with that. I will note, see, I did click changed all and these changed, but it doesn't change the elements. The elements you have to change manually. I make that pink to make it pop, but see, now it's kind of coming together. So look, we have text, the like body text is Garbata. So we're gonna go here, this is different. We need to clean up this text a little. So we're gonna change all the sans to Garbata. See how that one changed? You can kind of click through it, make sure. This one's now Garbata. And maybe you don't want bold anymore, so you kind of go through and just make these little branding changes, stylistic changes. And see what I said about the elements don't change. This is a background, so I'm going to have to change that manually. But see, look, okay, now that I've done that, I need to change all of this text to be black, or whatever color I wanted, but let's just go to black from the beginning. And then see how you just go through and you edit, and maybe you think, oh, this picture looks kind of washed out on this color, so maybe we do that one, or that one has a little bit more color. So this is how it works. It doesn't have to be hard. See, again, these elements didn't change. Maybe I want them to be pink, but here I can change all of them easily. One click, that's awesome. Looks way better. Wasn't into that weird color. And see, as you change the color, the fonts and the text, you're gonna have to adjust the spacing on stuff. But it still is pretty quick and easy. And then once you kind of have the idea, you can go through and start changing the copy to be exactly what you want and editing. But look how different we already have gotten this. In terms of the design, you can always go back. I'm not totally sure this pink works with this, or change the order. Like, I don't know if this is totally flowing. Maybe I want the about me first, and then I want a big image, or maybe I want two images. Maybe I want an image between each one. And if I just want a blank full scale image, I don't even have to really put a template. I can go back, find a nice image. Let's see, maybe this. And you just hold it here. That's kind of nice. It's a little simpler. I think that looks better. So you go from here, kind of echoes the kitchen design. It makes sense. We'd have to change this copy still. About me. You know, I kind of like having some extra images because she's all about staging, so she wants to show her skills. So see how it's only been about 20 minutes and we have the bulk of a website designed so quickly. I think this does need a few more tweaks, a little cleaning up, a little bit of copy. We need to get rid of this and put in our, this company's logo. So just make sure that you have changed out everything to where it does look really customized. And then what's interesting too is if you really like the style, but you're still tweaking the text, you can actually lock your design. And so it lets you change the text. Like I could say home or staging that sells, but I can't change the color at this point. That way, if you get to something you really like and you don't want to mess it up accidentally, you just lock it. And you can always go back in. See, when I click on this, I don't get as many choices. But you can always go back in. I used to have a lot of choices. You can always go back in, unlock it, or just lock the one element. When it's open, it's unlocked. That's the whole design is locked. One element, this one element's locked. And then unlocked. So that's something to think about. I hope that helps show you how quick and easy this can be when you're really getting rolling on the design. Don't overthink it. Just, play around with it. Sometimes you just have to try something. Like maybe you think, oh, that wasn't the best color for right here. Just change it. See what looks good. See what you really like. Maybe, it just takes a little bit of playing around, but you can create an entire design of a website in under 30 minutes when you start from the templates and just customize. So I hope that that helped you see kind of the full process in motion in an example website and gives you an idea of what you need to have ready. It does speed you up if you already have your images uploaded into Canva. If you don't know how to do that, you just go over to this side, upload an image or video. You can click here and then you get a thing. So, you just select the file, or you can just drag and drop them in and it'll upload it. And then if you, have previously uploaded things, they'll show up in here. You can always add elements like I did with the star, but you can also add other things like, I don't know, say you wanted an arrow pointing at learn more. I don't think that's a great idea, but just for an example, you can flip it, you can rescale it, you can bring it down. The really cool thing about this process is that you're bringing all of the design flexibility of Canva to web without coding, right? In the old days, you would have had to code this image to be here and to point this way and to be white or red or whatever. You can make it really bright to stand out or whatever. It's just a click of a button. That's what makes this powerful. And then you decide, oh, I don't like it. You just get rid of it. No bigs. So play around with it, have fun with it, and hopefully you are inspired by how much you can design in a really quick time. Okay, it is perhaps unsurprising that I think where these Canva websites really excel is in the ease of design and making it beautiful and editing and not needing any sort of code, right? But I think where it's still working on improving is in the real functionality. I don't know that it's super intuitive yet, so I wanted to be sure to run you through some of the key functionality that you need to put in place in your website to make sure that it really works as a functional website, right? So the first thing is creating nav. You need some sort of navigation, right? And this is the example home staging website that we put together in the previous video. So let's go ahead. We haven't actually looked at it together in this preview mode. So here's preview. It takes a second sometimes to load. And up here you can see that it's with navigation. And then you can also choose to take away the navigation. If you take away the navigation, it just goes to a little thing over here that you click on and it drops down. So here we see my pages: home, about, packages, service, portfolio, contact. Packages, and if you click on them, it goes to that section. But how did I make that happen? I am going to show you. Canva considers each of these little sections a page on your website. So this is like the home page, this image is a page, this is a page, this extra image is a page, this is a page. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And they each need a name. So if you can see this little like lines with a pencil, if you hover over it and click on Add Notes, this will come up and it says Page 1 Home. And whatever you name this is what's going to show in the nav. So I think home works for this home page. Let's click on this one. This is what I think is technically called a hero image. It's just an image. I don't want this to show on the nav. If I put anything in here, it will show on the nav. If I leave it blank, it will not. So if that's not clear, we're just going to put a test. So I'm going to call this test hero. Oops, hero, to show you what I mean. So this now, if we go to the preview, it'll load. See, ooh, now it says test hero. I click on it, it goes to here. But you got to think about functionality. Does anyone ever really want to click on your nav and go to the image? Probably not. The image is just for a placeholder. Of course, obviously, if I was using a full page image and then I had some sort of button or call to action or text, then I would want people to go here. But if I'm just using the images as sort of visual spacing on my page and they don't have content, then I don't want them to be in the nav, right? So if we go back here, delete everything out to where it's blank, then it will not show when we go back to the preview. See, it's gone now. So that's what we want. If you have any sort of page that for whatever reason you don't want it to show in the nav, you don't give it a title. And you just want to make sure that you go through, check each one, the about me, that's good. I actually kind of went through a little bit earlier on this packages, right? And you could always like, do you want this to be called the contact or whatever you want it? So you just want to make sure that each page has the correct title in the nav. And that's how you control what shows up on the nav. It's from this little notes page. Okay, so once you have that done, you know what all your main pages, your main links are going to be in your website. The other reason that's important is that we need these little buttons to function. Right now, they don't do anything. It's just text. But I want, if someone clicks on learn more, I want them to go to about me. That would make sense. So how do I do that? Click on learn more, go up to these three dots, click on the link, and then here, this is a new feature in Canva. This is for the websites. I can choose which section I want it to go to. And see, those pages that don't have a title will just show up as untitled here. But I want that to go to about. And then I can make sure that this is working correctly, because when I hover over this, it's going to say go to page. And what it means is page within this website. So then done. And then I know I have another button down here, work with me. Well, I think that should probably link to my packages, because this is what I want people to buy if I'm a home stager, right? So we're going to go to work with me, and then we're going to click on the dots, go to the link, go to packages, Done. Okay, so once we've added our link, we want to test it and make sure it's going to work. So we can go to the preview, give it a little second to load, and then click on Learn More. Oh, and it does go to the About Me. And then if I click on Work With Me, it goes to my packages. So this helps you preview how your website is going to actually function. You can test all of these links. You can also see up here, this is seeing it on a desktop. You can also switch to mobile and see how, I don't really want to do that right now. See how it works, see how it adjusted to mobile. This is important too with images because you want to see if you like it. And here you'll see that the nav became this little drop down. So you go down to packages and there you are. So it's good to make sure that your links work because, like I said, the design is pretty seamless, but you do want to make sure that there is correct functionality. Okay, so other than linking within the page, you may want to add links to things that are not in the page. So one example would be if you wanted to add social media. So this template that we're currently working with doesn't have the little icons. So let's say we wanted to add some icons and links to our social media. We could go to the elements and then I'm just gonna Instagram, and let's say I want to use this one. I don't mind it in black, so I'm going to make it smaller. And let's say I want those to be lined up under here and have links to my actual page, right? And you could also do, you know, Facebook or whatever, add one that's maybe similar. If we're going to do circle, let's do them all circle. And then you can size them down, you know, and put your little icons here. Make them the same size, whatever. So you could add whatever you wanted, you know, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, any of that kind of stuff. And then, so say we wanted that to actually be a link, we'd go back up here to our link. And then you would just paste in your actual link, like on Instagram, HTTP, reel 1, and then it says link added. And that would, you can preview it to make sure it worked. And just scroll down, you'll see it in, and see how like this one we haven't done yet, you just get this arrow, but this one you get the finger, which means that it's a link. So that means there is a link there, and that's good. It won't actually open exterior links in there. I believe that if you click on here and go to link, you can see that it is there. And you can see it's going to go to link. Remember earlier it said go to page. Now it says go to link because it's an external link. And one that is a little bit more complicated, this isn't technically social media, but I just want to mention it. If you want to add a email, like they want to email you, you can also add that as a link. So you highlight the text that you want it to be, go to the dots, go to the link, and then you actually just put in the email. So let's say we wanted to go to hello@bonjourbranding.com. And then you just hit return. It says link added. And then if you wanted to, you can see in preview that it is an active link because it's underlined, and again, you get the little cursor thing. So that is how you add a mail link if you are wanting to add a thing where when they click on it, it'll open a mail. You can see it adds the mail to hello@bonjourbranding.com. And there you go. So that's, if they click on that, it'll open a mail message, an email message to go to you. So that's the easiest way to do that, because you probably are going to need some external links. Obviously, You can also add your own, any sort of, if you have a secondary website, a portfolio website, anything like that, that is how you would go about adding it. Okay, so if you're running almost any kind of business these days, I really recommend that you have some sort of opt-in page, which is where people can sign up to get a newsletter or emails from you, and then some sort of email service provider. Now, Canva does not include any sort of email services or really like opt-in form capabilities. So if you want to add that kind of thing, this is where we have to start getting a little bit more creative. I'm going to show you options. I'm not advocating for any specific other program because there are lots of options, but I'm going to show you what I've used and what can work, and then hopefully that will give you inspiration. You want to be looking for something like Flowdesk. If you've ever heard of this company, they have opt-in forms for email and checkout forms and some of the stuff that Canva doesn't currently have. So this is something you're going to want to look into if you want to add that capability. So this is an example of an opt-in form where the person, you might have on your website, click here to receive my newsletter, or maybe you have a lead magnet, some sort of resource or downloadable freebie, like click here to get my list of the best design trends of the year. And so people will opt in, they'll give you their name, their email address, subscribe, and then will be sent your opt-in. None of that stuff can be done directly in Canva. They just don't have that kind of functionality right now. But you can link to something like this, to something like Flowdesk. Now, I don't think it's in the scope of this class to show you everything you can do with a program like this, because that's a whole different thing. But I just want to show you that they have sales pages, they have checkout pages, they have opt-ins. So if you're looking to add capabilities for any of your Canva websites, this is a great option. I will really point out the checkout too, because Canva shows retail websites in their templates, but they don't show you how to make that functional. Like there's nothing in Canva that can process payments or, take credit cards or do any of that stuff. So I think that's a little unclear of them when they show you that that's a template. And also any sort of downloads, any sort of delivery of a digital product is not available in Canva because they don't do any sort of email capabilities. So you would need something like this. Flowdesk is an option that I think makes it really easy, and they're also very affordable. So that's why I'm pointing that out as an option. But, there are, like if you just wanted an opt-in, you could use lead pages. ConvertKit does some of this. Kajabi does this, but I don't know why you'd get something that big if you just are doing a website in Canva. So, it's just a question of what you need, but you may have to pair your Canva website with something like this to provide more functionality if you are in the market for that. Or if you start with a Canva page and then you think, oh, I really wish I had an email, like this site can do branded emails. And obviously if people are on your email list, they needed a way to opt in. They do forms. They now do checkout. So you could link their checkout to a Canva template that had products. It could be a digital product like a course or a service, or a physical product if you kind of got all of that figured out with your shipping. And they have sales pages. So they have some of the stuff that Canva doesn't have, and that is a way to add more capabilities to, actually, you know what, I take that back. This Flowdesk may not have physical products. They may just be digital, but you could definitely link your Canva site to something like an Etsy page and have people check out through Etsy. So anyway, the point is that if you need to add on more capabilities, you would have to use a secondary platform. But this company and like places like ConvertKit, a lot of the email providers, even something like ClickFunnels that does funnel landing pages, none of those sites offer a home page. So if you combine the two services, you can create a home web page and more functionality. It's really just going to come down to what you need and what you're trying to do with your site. But I just want to make you aware that that is a limitation of Canva. They don't have opt-in pages. They don't have sales pages. They don't have checkout. And they don't really have any sort of email service providing capabilities built into the web page. It's just the web page. So, which I mean is, the email part is similar to something like Squarespace or Wix. Like none of those provide email either. You would be linking a Squarespace or a Wix page to an email provider. So I mean, that is all similar, but in case you're not sure how you would do that, I just wanted to show you an option, point you in that direction, get you thinking. Like I said, Flowdesk is an example that I personally used and I found to be really intuitive. They also have really low pricing because if you're building your webpage in Canva, I'm assuming that you're looking for a fairly low cost option. So Flowdesk is another fairly reasonable option. There are some that are pretty expensive. Like the last time I used Lead Pages, it was $100 a month, which is a fair amount, right? So I tried to just find you a really budget-friendly option to add in some functionality if you need it. And this is how you would do it. So if you would build your checkout, so let's say you built a checkout page on Flowdesk, you would just take whatever URL for the page you built, and then you would go in and link it in your Canva. So say this is your packages and you had your checkout pages in Flowdesk. Right here, you would go in and just link your Flowdesk checkout page right here is where you would do that. So that's how you would connect the two and make them talk. Same for an opt-in. If you had an opt-in page that you'd built on Flowdesk, just like a simple form, then, maybe this was like, stay in touch. I have this incredible download that I'll give you if you sign up. And then here would be like, sign up today or subscribe or I need that freebie or something in whatever text you want. And then when they clicked on it, you would link right there, go to the link, and you would put in the link, whatever URL you had built in your Flowdesk or ConvertKit or whoever else you were using. So I hope that makes sense. And that's how you would make the two systems connect and kind of talk. And just remember that you would edit each in its own platform. So if you wanted to make changes to your Canva page, you would make that in Canva. If you wanted to make changes to your Flowdesk opt-in, you would make that in Flowdesk or wherever else you had built it. So that's not required. You could certainly publish this as is with just a simple thing and then tell them to email you or find you at your social media or something like that to get connected. But if you were looking for something a little more sophisticated, you did want to collect emails, you wanted to offer checkout. And I mean, for checkout, there's lots of options. You could also link some sort of, like WooCommerce. There's lots of stuff. It would just be a question of doing some research about, you could even do drop shipping, and that's a whole nother world. But if you had drop shipping set up through a company, you could just link directly to the products. Like say you sold customized t-shirts, then you would just link this potentially to the drop shipping company's page where they have you check out and then, they do the order fulfillment. So that's another option. There's a lot you can do, but I'm just mainly pointing out that if you need a more advanced functionality, you're probably going to have to link this page to another platform that provides that functionality at the price that's good for your business. So hopefully that helps and clarifies how you can make this website a little bit more robust and functional for you. Okay, so now it's the moment you've all been waiting for. You've done all your work with your copy, your design, you've added your nav, you've done your links, you feel ready, you've checked it out in preview. You always want to do that before you publish your website. And now you're ready to publish. So you click publish the website at the top. They do lock your design while you're doing this, though you can go back and change later. But there are currently 3 ways to publish on Canva. So the only completely free way or on the free plan is to use the free Canva domain. You can also pay to purchase a new domain, and it's pretty self-explanatory if you do it. You just click here, hit continue, and then you can type examples. So just say, if you put google.com, we all know that that's not available. So it'll tell you, okay, these are your other options, or, so anyway, you can choose whatever domain. If you find one that is, we'll see, maybe udemyexample.com is still available. Okay, so it is. So then you would just hit claim your domain and you would go through this process. I'm not actually going to buy this, so I'm going to go back. You can also use an existing domain. So this means that you have previously purchased a domain through anyone like Google Domains, GoDaddy. There's so many, I can't possibly list all of them. Wherever you would have purchased a domain previously, you can do that. And then you continue. And then this will take you through connecting your domains. I am also not going to go all the way through this because it's a little bit complicated, just to show here, and has kind of personal information if you have a real domain. But if you click on this thing, it'll have a lot more details about what is available. Linking a custom domain is only available for Pro, Teams, and Canva for Education users. So this is not available to just the plain Canva the plain Canva free subscribers. You would need a Canva Pro or Teams or Education account to do this, and you would have had to have already bought a domain. But if you do want a custom domain, it takes you all the way through it. They also have, GoDaddy examples, Namecheap, Wix, Google Domains. So, it has a lot of info. I've never even heard of Namecheap because this stuff changes all the time. So I'm not going to try to cover it all myself, and it just would depend on where you bought your thing for it. But it does give you all the steps here. You just go step by step. It's not hard. I have purchased all mine through Google Domains for the most part. So, if I were to do this, I would just type in my domain and I could look at this thing for extra info. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, the free domain published to a Canva domain is free for everyone. So you can click on that and hit continue. And you do get to choose a subdomain. So the my.canva.site will always be there, but wow, Elizabeth is still not taken because when I'm coming up with this is still a very new product. So that is surprising that Elizabeth is still available, but we will take it. Oh, no, wait, sorry, it's not available. I thought it was going to tell me. Let's try Elizabeth Hambleton because that's my name. That's probably available. And then once you choose, it'll just take you through this. See, we never really renamed this up here, but you would want to rename this to something like modern home staging, say. Or like whatever your business name is, Joe Blow Home Staging or whatever. And then you'd write your description. You can do all this stuff and then you just hit publish and then it is live at this URL. So that's pretty cool. It's very easy. You can preview here. And if you choose the free one, then that's all. It's very simple. You don't have to mess with any of these domain issues, but it does go to my.canva.site. If you are using a totally free one and you don't want it to be super obvious that you're using a free URL, you can always do URL shorteners like a bit.ly or any kind of thing like that when you're sharing your site with other people if you feel a little embarrassed by the URL. But I really personally think it's no big deal to use the free one. And it's a great option if you are trying to save money and get a website up for a really inexpensive, basically free price, and quickly and easily. And you can always start with this free URL and then move your site later to a paid domain if you want to do that. So that's also an option. And I hope that helps you get it published, and I can't wait to see what everyone creates with their new websites. Okay, so this is slightly extra, but I just wanted to throw this out there for anyone who wasn't clear on how to do this, because when I first did it years ago, I was not clear, so maybe someone else isn't clear. Just throwing this out, since we're talking domains and getting your website up. When you're getting a website up, you're going to have some sort of URL that's your domain. And if you've ever wondered how people have custom emails for your websites, the easiest way I know how to do is through Google. It's quite inexpensive currently. It's only like $5-6 US to have email that's branded, so not super expensive. That is per month, but still I think that's pretty reasonable. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, it's right here. It's the idea. You can get a custom email at your company. So say that your URL is yourcompany.com, you can have the email Priya at your company or Joe at your company. So that way people can email you, or, like just using myself as an example, my website is bonjourbranding.com. So I could, in theory, have this and have, Elizabeth at bonjourbranding.com or help at bonjourbranding.com or whatever, support at bonjourbranding.com. I do think that it really adds a level of professionalism to your website to have that custom email rather than just saying like Elizabeth or bonjourbranding at gmail.com. That's clearly a free rather than having it at your domain.com. So totally just throwing that out if it helps you or if you weren't really clear on how to do that. If you did buy a custom domain for your website, you can add on the email as an extra service and have a fully branded URL that goes to both your website and has the custom email. So there may be other ways to do this. I have always done it through Google and I find it to be reliable. So like I said, that's a little bit outside the scope of the exact course, but I know when you're thinking domains, email is related, and I just wanted to kind of give you that tip if it helps. Okay, so once you have your website all ready, you are going to want to have a little bit of information around your traffic and insights. You can set up a third-party way to do that, like Google Analytics, and that might be fine. But if you want to use the insights within Canva, you go to this little icon. It's like the 3 lines right here. And since this is the website we just built together, there is obviously nothing here yet. But once you publish your website, you can see views, traffic, and engagement. And you can filter it by the time frame. And it's not super robust, but it is there. This little crown symbol does mean that at least currently at the time of me filming this, it is only available to pro users. But I just wanted to point out that it is here. And if you do publish your website, it's good to keep an idea get a little bit of an idea of how much traffic you're getting, views, what part of your website is getting the best engagement. That can help you make a more educated decision if you're trying to fine-tune your copy or, get more clicks on your opt-in or packages or whatever. So I just wanted to mainly just point out that it's here. You can play around with it if you are a pro user. I believe that if you're not a pro user, you're not going to be able to get much out of this, but I just wanted you to know it's here and how to find it if you wanted to use it. It's this little icon right here.